So my name is Chimmy Ogbuebile. I'm the CEO of Awka Millenium City. I consider it a privilege to have the opportunity to lead this visionary development in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Awka Millenium City is primarily one of the first planned cities in the southeastern part of Nigeria, in Anambra specifically, and in Awka. It's an estate of over 110 hectares of land. It consists of different sets of plot sizes from 500 square meters per plot to 1,000 and to 2,000 mansion plots. So it's a well-planned area, well laid out. It has some of the best infrastructure in the country. We have over 22 kilometers of fully tarred roads, underground drainages. We have a water treatment plant, water storage plant. It can store over 2 million liters of water. We have our own substation. We have a dedicated power link direct from TCN into our own substation and our own control room. That shows us an average of 24 hours light a day. We have over 20 kilometers of underground fiber to the home. So every house in AMC has fiber. We have water, we have power, we have solar street lights. We're very clean about sustainability. So when you come there, you see solar street lights. We have recreational parks like the Central Park and the different pocket parks for each of the 3 zones that we have. There's perimeter security. Everywhere is walled out. There's security cameras, CCTVs, and we have 24/7 surveillance cameras and security on the estate. And our project started in 2019. It was a very audacious project. We set out to build the first smart city in the whole of the Southeast. It was a very challenging project. Went through a lot of ups and downs, but I'm happy to say today that we can consider AMC a success. In terms of what attracted us to invest in Anambra State, I think it was a personal decision. It was a very intentional decision to invest in Anambra State. It was one driven by passion. At the time when we started in 2019, it wasn't trendy. It wasn't the Southeast. It wasn't the place people wanted to invest. It was the place that people just built houses and they come once in a year and never really lived in. And we decided that, considering the fact that the people from the Southeast have developed most parts of Lagos, most parts of Abuja, most of the major real estates owned in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt are owned by people in the Southeast. They've invested heavily in real estate development. And we thought it would be a good idea to also try and transit that kind of infrastructure, that kind of investment into the southeastern part of Nigeria, because if you don't fix the Southeast, who's going to fix it? We took that mantra and said, which was at that point in time, the governor was His Excellency Governor Obiano was having the mantra of Akuluno, that people in the Southeast should start bringing their investments home. We took that audacious risk at that point in time and said, look, we're going to build a smart estate in the southeastern part of Nigeria on par with the likes of Nikon and Orange Island in Lagos. And we said, well, if people can live comfortably in Lagos and Abuja, why can't we transition that kind of infrastructure and quality of lifestyle in the Southeast? And that's what primarily drove us. It also helped, particularly why we invested in Anambra, was obviously our group managing director, Dr. Claire Mobo, who's also from Anambra and Awka. So that quite gingered our interest to go into Anambra State to start this audacious project. The business climate in Anambra State currently it's very buoyant. There's a lot of development going on over the years. There's been a lot of infrastructure being built. The current governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has made a lot of input in trying to build world-class infrastructure, putting a lot of new developments, roads, the new ShopRite, the new Marriott coming, the Fun City, all those things that make Awka a capital city are all now in play. You can see there's a genuine intent to build industrial cities, the Awka 2.0, Onisha 2.0. So a lot of new initiatives are coming and it's all converging towards, making Anambra State the destination state for investment. And we're gradually seeing that aggregation of intent to develop the infrastructure in Anambra State. Comparing to where we were when we came in, we were kind of like the guinea pigs in terms of Southeast development. When we came in, there wasn't much going on. There was a lot of issues of insecurity. People really didn't see it as a place they wanted to invest in. But we took the bullet. We took the bullet and came in, and we're very happy that we made that investment. We're really happy, and we set the bar for investment in the Southeast. Now you're seeing a lot of new estates coming up, new developments coming up, and everybody has confidence that the Southeast will develop. Well, the project started in 2019. However, between 2018 and 2019, we spent time designing. Our vision was to build a brand new 21st century city. That was our intent. And we spent over a year designing with some of the best architects, urban developers, infrastructure developers in the world, working with us to come up with a master plan for this new city. We looked at the infrastructure, what roads we require, length of roads, size of roads, the drainage, how we're going to drain the environment. It was a very challenging topography. So it was a very innovative engineering to try and drain a place that was primarily abandoned as a landfill area. It was a despoiled mining site, illegal mining site. A lot of the original plaster sand that came from around Awka was being mined there. So there was a lot of illegal mining, a lot of massive escalations. And the whole place was despoiled. And the water table was very high. So it was a challenging, swampy environment. And it required a lot of detailed planning, detailed designing and engineering to be able to arrest the current landscape that we had. But with a lot of design, with using the best engineers, best development architects, best urban developers, we're able to come up with a master plan after a full year of design. And we then engaged the government, and they were very kind to us and excited to support us, especially with ANSIPPA. The ANSIPPA is the Anambra State Investment Promotion Agency, which is the one-stop shop for all investment in the Southeast. And they gave us all the support that we needed to start that development. It was challenging. It started with a lot of anxiety because of the scale and audacity of what we were trying to build. We had never been done in the Southeast ever. But we took on the challenge and battled through it till today. And we're obviously rounding up the project, and we've also started the second phase and another, what we're calling AMC2, which is the second phase of the Awka Millenium City, which is also doing quite well. And there are other initiatives going on, like the Millennium Enclave and the Millennium Court and Millennium Court 2, which are all new projects also going on within the Awka Millenium City development. The markets, they responded greatly. We were overwhelmed with the response we got from the people. Again, when we started the project, we as MP Infrastructure were primarily an infrastructure company. So we've been building a lot of infrastructure in terms of roads, telecommunications infrastructure, major core infrastructures, transmission lines. But a lot of people didn't know us in the real estate space. So that was our first entry into the real estate space. However, the few people who knew us knew that we were serious. Anything we did, we actually delivered on it. And so a lot of the early adopters that adopted the AMC vision, bought into it very early, supported us. But I think the major thing that actually ensured the demand for our product was that every single revenue we put into the estate, every revenue that we received from our subscribers, all the sales, were reinvested in the estate in infrastructure. And as time went on, people were coming, they were seeing progresses, we're communicating them through social media, to multiple media channels. They could see on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, they could see the development going on. They could see the roads being built. They could see the power substation being built. They could see the water infrastructure being set up. They could see the parks. They could see the fiber infrastructure. They could see the security infrastructure. So every day people were seeing continuous investment, continued development, and that this is a company that when they said they're going to provide infrastructure, they don't say it, they actually do it. And that's what primarily was our unique selling point, that we did what we promised. And people saw that we were doing what we promised. And thereby, we were encouraging investors who in the past have been burnt on other real estate developments. We were a bit cynical. Eventually, we started building that critical mass. And also, there was a major drive, the Akuluno philosophy that was originally developed by His Excellency Governor Obiano and continued with Professor Soludo, made sure that the people of Anambra State had a passion to bring back the part of their revenue, part of their investment into the southeast and primarily into Anambra State and Awka Millenium City. So a lot of that, the support we got, rode on that momentum of Akuluno, bring back your wealth home. You're nobody if you can have all the houses in Lagos, all the houses in Abuja, if you don't have something home, if you don't invest in your home state. So that there was a lot of support from there, especially from the Lagos diaspora, from the Abuja diaspora, from the international diaspora. Everybody bought into that vision. And we thank them very much for all the support they've given us over the years. And they can actually see good returns on the investment they made. ANSIPPA, which is the Anambra State Investment Promotion Agency, has been a great pillar of support to our investment. They have been a delight to work for. Prior to meeting the ANSIPPA organization, I had my skepticisms and my doubts about any involving government in any business investment that we made. But we found out with ANSIPPA, we met with the first interaction we had with them. They were very professional. They were extremely good negotiators, extremely good in terms of business framework, regulatory framework. And you could see they were willing to support businesses and to support investments in the state. Even the team that we came with, who had built most of the big estates in Lagos and in Nigeria, when we came with them for the first meeting with ANSIPPA, they walked out at that meeting and they said, look, wow, these guys are really on top of their game. And I felt there was a sense of pride that, we in the Southeast could develop an agency that was run professionally, was run transparently, and had one single focus to bring in new investors, encourage them to do developmental projects, to create jobs, create development infrastructure, and grow the economy of real estate. That was the primary responsibility for ANSIPPA. And they did it. They didn't just talk the talk. They had visionary leaders, and they have visionary leaders to drive private investors and create that synergy between government and private investment. And they've been a pillar of support in terms of land allocation, giving us all the right tax waivers, all the incentives to do major investment in the state. And we, as MP Infrastructure, through our JV with Anambra State Government, Awka Millenium City, have delivered on our promises to ANSIPPA, and I think they're quite happy with what they've seen. And it's also encouraged them to engage with other investors in different sectors. Well, some of the key lessons we learned is, one, spend your time doing your preparations, both technically and commercially. Like I said earlier on, we had spent over a year designing the master plan and the detailed engineering for Awka Millenium City. And because we spent time, we did a little back and forth with the engineering design consultants, with the urban developers. We spent time to understand the challenges of the environment, the topography of the area, the constraints, the engineering design that will ensure that when it rains, that the whole water drains out into the river without causing any flood, the right flood control processes, the areas that were, how to remediate lands where there was swamp, how to build roads so that they didn't fail because of your building in a swampy area. So a lot of thought and concept went into the master plan for the area. So it was a well thought out master plan city for modern living, and a plan that would far outstand our lifetime. And so that's one. I think it's spend time doing your designs properly, infrastructure designs, planning, living, Planning a place that you would like to live and other people would like to live. That's one. Try not to cut corners. There's always the temptation to try and cut corners to maximize your profit, but eventually it always catches up on you. We tried not to cut corners. We made sure that whatever we promised, we delivered on it. So then also your financial modeling, I think it's very important to look at your model, flex it, because Nigeria is a very challenging economic environment. Things are always changing, and you be able to make sure you have the right levels of contingency. If one plan fails, another plan will kick in, your plan A, plan C. By plan D, we're all dead. But most plans, by the time you get to plan B, C, you should have remediated the situation. So that's what I would advise. Do a lot of planning, preparation, project planning, making sure you get the right resources, the right investments is made in people who are going to deliver. All the way from your project manager to your artisans, you must get the right skilled people to give you a quality delivery. And don't compromise on quality. The challenges have been numerous. First of all, you have to make sure that we had to make sure that the land they gave us was unencumbered. Even though on paper it came across as unencumbered, you still had challenges, people coming up with making claims, even if they were frivolous. So be ready mentally to deal with those claims that will come up, both legally and engagement-wise, was a learning curve for us. Don't take anything for granted. No claim is frivolous. You would take everything with the full force of the law and engage with the parties. That's very important. Also, challenges around getting the right resources in the state. At that time, a lot of people didn't have the exposure of building infrastructure of this quality. So initially, some of the high-level staff came in from out of Lagos and some from Abuja. But gradually, we were able to start building the culture of quality delivery and timeline delivery and cost efficiencies into our local staff. And gradually, they took on the responsibility and are driving a lot of the initiatives. So the challenges of resources, the challenges of the economic environment is very unstable. One day the dollar is crashing, one day it goes up, it comes down. The naira devaluation, the economic environment is very treacherous. So there's a thin line between failure and success. All these were the kind of challenges we're facing. It didn't help at the time when we came in. There were issues around COVID. COVID came in, that disrupted us significantly, but we didn't allow, even with COVID, we were able to overcome, surmount all the challenges, try and work safely. There was a time when there was a lot of insecurity in the region, the non-government and other issues. We managed to surmount that. And the key thing that was driving us is that, yes, there will be challenges. The issue is, how do you rectify this? How do you manage those challenges? How do you mitigate against those risks and issues? And that's what we did. We didn't want to give. And the key thing that drove us to surmount our challenges, apart from the grace of God, was that we have promised our people, this is what we're going to deliver to them. They don't want to hear excuses. They don't want to hear there's a COVID. They don't want to hear there's unknown government. They don't want to hear there's insecurity. We knew that some of these things were there when we came in, or we found them out. But the issue is, how do you surmount them? And we were able to overcome a lot of these challenges and walk through all this challenge to deliver what everybody now knows as Awka Millenium City. So it's been challenging. And I think the key thing is to have the drive, have the determination, and have the sincerity of purpose, which we did. And that was what was through. And obviously, with God's blessings and guidance, you will overcome. And we're still overcoming, and we hope we will continue to overcome. I think it's a very good time for potential investors to come into Anambra. The government is very pro-business, pro-development. They are putting in all the right infrastructure. They're doing all the right things. They're creating the right economic environment. They're encouraging investors. They are working with the international developmental agents like the AFDB, the World Bank, the United Nations. They have a pool of direct DFIs invested in Anambra State, supporting them, advising them. And I think the environment is right. This is the time to invest in Anambra. This is the time to invest in the Southeast. And let the Akolona mantra continue for the next generation. Encourage development, impact people. We can't all live in Lagos and Abuja, and if you don't fix your region, nobody will fix it for you. So if you're a businessman, luckily Anambra is blessed with a lot of high net worth entrepreneurs. Anambra State has the highest number of billionaires per square meter anywhere else in Africa. So if we can go out to, even more hospital environments and build those environments, why can't that expertise, why can't that capital come back to the home country where this money and with this expertise was built from? So I'm encouraging all Southeasterners, so Anambra, to come to Anambra State and invest. And you will definitely see a return on investment. It's people that created Dubai. Dubai that we go was a desert 20, 30 years ago. Now the whole world flocks to it. It's that intentionality of building a new city in the desert that has attracted the world. The China that we go to today is the Chinese decide to look inwards and build China as the industrial powerhouse for the world. That's why all of us now, the whole world comes to China to buy their goods. Even the Western world no longer produce anything. They go to China. It's the workshop of the world. So at the end of the day, the mantra is that if you don't build your own area, if you don't put in the hard work, nobody's going to do it for you. So this is the time for every Indian Anambra to come in. If it's 5-10% of your investment portfolio, diversify it into Anambra. If everybody brings 5% of the portfolio, can you imagine the multiplier effect? How it's going to impact development, how it's going to impact health, how it's create more jobs, how it will eradicate insecurity. Part of the insecurity challenges is because there's no work and people are being misled into doing all kinds of things. But if you create an industrial base, which I think Anambra should be, because the people are natural entrepreneurs, 80% of the industries in Nigeria are owned by the Anambra. I have those facts. I know that. So why can't you build industries? Why can't you provide the infrastructure? Luckily, the government is putting the right infrastructure, building industrial parks, industrial cities, new modern cities with sustainability, energy, and gas, power, and all that. So the time is right to make that investment. It's an entrepreneurial environment, very competitive. So I call on all people to come and invest in Anambra State. So Awka Millenium City is just one of our projects. So we've done the Awka Millenium City 1, which is probably 80% sold out now. We are midway through the AMC 2, which is not far from AMC 1. That's also at nearly 30% status of development. It's also getting a lot of traction based on the goodwill generated from AMC 1. A lot of the customers and our subscribers have confidence in any of our projects. Our long-term vision for the Millennium City brand is to have a Millennium City in every state capital. Obviously, with our primary base is starting from the southeast, so we're looking to have a Millennium City in Asaba, in Enugu, either Aba, Umuahia, and Owerri. These are all areas that we're considering. We're also looking at taking the Millennium City brand to Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. But everything we do must be done by demand. We must understand the market. We must see that we can offer value or create value in that niche market. So it's a brand that we want to roll out across the country. We want it to be recognizable, just the way you have a ShopRite in every state. Any state that you don't have a ShopRite, you feel that development has not finally come to there. And that's like we're trying to do with our own brand, create the Millennium City brand as a premium brand that wherever you hear the name Millennium City, you know it. You know what you're getting. You know the quality. You're not gambling. And we're also returning very good return on investment for our customers. When we started Awka Millenium City in 2019, 1,000 square meters of lands for friends and family was set at 60 million. Now it goes for over 110 million. Okay, so there's massive return on investment for those that come in, take early positions. The new projects we're doing, like the Millennium Enclave, the Millennium Court, which was a 21 luxury terrace that we built in AMC, was sold out. In 6 months, was sold out. We never even knew that there were opportunities for terrace build in the Southeast. We always had this breed that everybody in the Southeast wanted to have a big mansion plot and live in a big house and not share community. But we didn't understand that the demographics had changed, that younger people, middle-income people wanted to live in had communal living where they shared facilities. They didn't, what about their gardeners, about their security, everything was all inclusive. Once they pay their service charge, they can go into their house at any time, lock their house and leave. I know they're secure, know that the garden will not overgrow. And that's been a major learning curve from us, to know that even the way of living has changed and is more acceptable. And we're doing further, even within the Millennium City, we have enclaves that we have created to meet the demands of the market. So, it's been an exciting journey, and we're looking to replicate the Millennium City brand across the country. So another Millennium City could be coming to your city soon.